would love for you to pop into the chat really quickly. Like I said, let's get acclimated to that. Let me know where you're from and what you currently do. Whether you are retired, stay-at-home mom, if you're working full-time, part-time, where you're from, any information you'd like to share. And in the meantime, I am going to share my screen. And what I would love for you to do, I want you to let me know in the chat if you can see my slides because it, excuse me, will be important for you to see those slides in order to follow along. And yay, see some things going off in the chat. Cindy, LA virtual assistant. Oh, awesome, Cindy. So you do have online experience. Christine, early childhood educator, would be Ontario. Very cool. Yay, from Canada. Let's see here. We have Leanne, Florida podcast host and digital marketing. Amazing. Wow, we have some people already in the online business space. Stacy, NC Bank teller. Very cool. Janelle, I'm in Kansas. Awesome. Working as a substitute teacher. One of my good friends is in Kansas. iPhone, I am so sorry. I'm not sure. It doesn't say your name, but stay-at-home mom in OR. Very cool. Sean, ABA therapist, New Jersey. Hi, Sean. Jacqueline, funding specialist. Michelle, California HR manager. I'm a retired teacher from Michigan. Hey, Monica. Let's see. Michigan Head Start preschool teacher. I am so sorry. Is it Cleons? I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Kathy, Pittsburgh, PA teacher. Um, let's see. Um, Dia, Georgia, marketing assistant. Very cool. Yay. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. I'm gonna share my screen here. And like I said, what I'm gonna need you to let me know. Whoop, there's our Zoom call. I need you to let me know if you can share these. I'm gonna make everybody's, let's see, actually, let me make that a little bit bigger for a second. I'm gonna pin my video so you can see me. You guys can just keep your camera off if you'd like. You can be here to listen. Like I said, I'm going to be checking the chat. Let me know really quickly if in the chat, pop that in there if you can see my screen. Let's see. Amy from Minnesota. I'm a scheduler for a food company. Very cool. Let me know if all of you can see my screen. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I can see. Okay, you guys rock. Thank you. Okay, let's go. So we are going to talk about how to make 10K monthly as a Pinterest manager. But as I was emailing you and asking you to come to this call, if you wanted to learn more, let's just make your first 10,000. I had somebody reach out to me and they were like, I would be elated if I could just make some money for my family on a monthly basis. I don't have to make 10K monthly. And the beauty of owning your own business, and some of you already know who are in the online business space already, is that you get to decide how much you make. And of course, it takes effort and work, and there's a lot of different ways that you can scale and grow, but you can truly make it what you want. And one of my students, she was so excited. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I just realized that my business officially hit $10,000 in revenue." And those milestones, that same student is now actually making 5K monthly. She enrolled, her name's Annie. She enrolled in my academy in February of 2024. And it was around December 2024, January 2025, she hit her first 5K month. So she was not even in the academy for a year. And when she enrolled, she was still teaching full time. So I am so excited to teach you more about that framework and how I'm teaching my students in the academy and what they're doing to start a successful Pinterest management business in 2025. Because I have been doing this for a while now, and I'm going to share a little bit more about me, but this is more about you and if this is a good fit for you. So like I said, we're going to talk about how to make 10K monthly as a Pinterest manager. The beauty of this is you can make a full-time income without working full-time hours. And I've never had full-time hours available because I started my business when I already had a baby and now I have four kids and I've never had childcare. I occasionally will have a babysitter here or there, but I've never had consistent or full-time childcare by any means whatsoever. Okay, so let's talk about what you're going to discover because I am a former teacher. So the teacher in me can't help but begin with the end in mind. So the objective, so to put it, what you're going to walk away with. So we're going to talk about why Pinterest management is a must for you now, even if you're feeling a little apprehensive about your current skills and knowledge. We're going to talk about what you'll do as a Pinterest manager because maybe this is kind of a foreign concept to you. We're going to talk about how to find clients and put yourself out there so you can start making money now. Now, like I said, this doesn't happen overnight, but I do have students in my academy who get clients within sometimes 3 to 4 weeks. Others, it takes 6 to 8 weeks. But when you think about that, even when you start, let's say, a corporate job, you don't get paid the first day. It takes a couple of weeks. So when you're thinking about starting a business, the fact that within a month or maybe 2 months you can start making income from this, that is incredible. And like I said, I have students making 5K a month within, 9 to 10 months. Adriana, actually, she was an orthodontist and she had been a blogger, but when she enrolled, that was in January of 2024, and by July of 2024, hit her first 5K month. So just think about that. If you can do that in 6 months, where are you going to be in 6 years? Think about that. And I will say with me, I've actually had my business over 6 years. I started my business in 2018. So back to this though. We're going to also talk about what might stop you and how to overcome it because I truly believe the mindset is the biggest piece of the puzzle. And I know that sounds crazy because a lot of us, when we start this, are thinking, and this was me too, but we're worried about the skills and being able to learn something totally new. And some of you might already have skills and maybe you're not worried about that part, but that is something that people consider like, can I learn this? Will I like this? And I really believe that the mindset piece is the biggest component. I truly believe in my heart that anybody can learn these skills, but not everybody can overcome some of the, I don't want to say problems, but some of the roadblocks that come up with that mindset piece and the things that we tell ourselves. So I am going to cover that on the training, the mindset piece, because that is such a big piece of this puzzle with starting your business. So you're in the right place. You can kind of use this as like a little check system. You're in the right place if you want to change careers and have more freedom and flexibility. You're in the right place if you want to spend less time working, but you still want to make a full-time income to support yourself and your family if you have one. You're in the right place if you want a career that really has no ceiling in regards to growth and potential. I was just sharing this with somebody that, I am not where I thought I would be in my business right now. And I mean that in the best way possible. That is the thing that's so crazy about business is you do continue to grow and change and evolve over time. And it can be a little crazy to think I might not know where I'm going to be in 5 years, but at the same time, that's can also be it could be leading to something that's so much better than you could imagine too. So that part is really exciting. And that's kind of the case for me. I did not think I was going to be here doing this with you right now when I first started my business. And it's just amazing how it's continued to grow and evolve over time. So, you're in the right place if you are serious about taking action and investing in yourself. This isn't something that's going to fall into your lap. You are building a business, an asset that you own, and it takes time. So like I said, it's not just going to happen overnight, and it's not this fast and easy, like sexy thing that people make it seem to be. We get the highlight reel on social media, and it can feel like a grind. And I would much rather you do this, get started, realize it takes work, but it's worth it, than, me paint some picture of it being fast and easy, and then you get started and you're like, oh, like Emily, this does require work. So, like I said, here to be honest with you. But my students who are willing to put in the work because they know it's worth it, they're seeing amazing results. And that's the thing. Everything is hard in life. Life is not easy. It's hard to be broke. It's hard to be unemployed. It's hard to leave your kids to go to your job. It's hard to go to a job that maybe you hate. It's hard to build a business, but it comes down to choosing what you want your hard to be. It is not easy for me to run my business from home with 4 little kids, and my husband was just out of town for 5 days. But once again, I would do it a million times over. So sorry, I'm going to step down off of my soapbox now. You're not, now this is a little bit of the opposite. You are not in the right place if you're looking to get rich quick. It's not that type of thing. And like I said, anybody online who tells you that business is fast and easy, run far away because it's not true. If it was fast and easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would grab the low-hanging fruit, but it does take time and effort. Um, you're not in the right place if you don't see your time as your most valuable commodity. Money comes and money goes. There is always more money to be made in the world. However, we can never get our time back. So, what is it costing you to not start now? You are not in the right place if you're going to be mad at me spending over an hour of my time teaching you how to get started and how you can do this on your own, or if you want me to be your guide and mentor in the academy. You're not in the right place if you're looking for instant gratification rather than building a sustainable business that will be an asset for you. Spoiler alert, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your business isn't going to be built in a day. Like I said, that's not to say that people don't, start making income quickly, but that doesn't mean that they're hitting that ultimate, income goal or fully replacing their income overnight or in 2 weeks, right? So I want you to stay until the end because I do have an exclusive invitation for you that I'm only offering to you because you are here tonight. So I'm going to sprinkle these throughout because I want you to be inspired and I want you to see what is possible right now for you in 2025. So I'm sharing different wins from students in my academy. This is Annie. She says, I have the most exciting news to share. I'm officially at my first 5K month as a Pinterest manager. I've signed 2 new clients in the past 2 days. That puts me at 8 clients for January. And so she said, I literally could have never imagined my life like this before finding your content on YouTube last year. You've transformed my perspective on starting a business and working for myself. I literally owe this all to you. And even though I'm excited to start working with Pinterest ads, I haven't even touched that yet. So you are so right that we can scale organic management business to a full-time income without needing to do ad services. So I will say with Annie, she's giving me a lot of credit, but she put in the work and I can't make anybody do anything. What I always tell people, I give 100%, but you got to give 100% too. So these are more wins. Adriana, she was the one that I mentioned that had been an orthodontist and hit her first 5K month within 6 months. Some other amazing students, Robin, she had been a virtual assistant before, had amazing success, so much that by the time she was finishing up in the academy, she actually was hiring subcontractors, which is crazy. So Tammy, she was previously a podcast manager and she was kind of pivoting to Pinterest. So lots of different examples here. I will mention too, some of these students had been teachers before, nurses before, in HR, lots of different backgrounds. So before we go any further, though, let me explain what a Pinterest manager is because some of you are coming here and you might already know what it is. And some of you are like, I have no idea what this means. I just love Pinterest. Either way, you're in the right place. So, what a Pinterest manager is, you are a small business owner, you are a service-based business. So, you are offering services that business owners need. Yes, there is a need in the market for Pinterest managers. And business owners are willing to pay you for your services. So you are a service-based business. You're a freelancer. So you are an independent contractor. You can work and you should work with multiple clients. And when people think about the stability of this, there's a couple of things that make Pinterest really stable. First of all, a lot of your work is going to be based on retainer, meaning that people need your services month over month. That was a huge factor that I took into consideration when I was exploring freelance options because freelancing encompasses a lot of different services. So when you're thinking about freelancers, copywriters, website designers, virtual assistants, podcast managers, social media managers, graphic designers, bookkeepers, those are all types of freelance services and freelance work that people can offer. But like I said, the beauty of this is that you can work with multiple clients at once. And so if something happens or a contract ends, and that does happen, it comes with the territory in business, you'll have multiple other clients. And, once I got started and I got that first client, once I hit that first milestone, from that point on, I was never without clients. Sometimes I'd go from like 6 clients to 5, or from like 5 then to jump up to 7, but I was never like starting back over every month, which was something that was really important to me because I didn't want to feel like every month I was starting back over at 0, right? So the beauty of this is you are not an employee. You control, you know, how many clients you have, how much you're working, what that looks like. You are marketing as a Pinterest manager. So businesses are paying you to work on their Pinterest account. So you're actually not working on your Pinterest account. So it's great if you love Pinterest and you pin all the time, but you're actually not working on your Pinterest and you don't really have to worry about your Pinterest. You are going to be working on your clients. So actually, let's go back for a minute. I want to share with you because I had somebody reach out to me on Instagram, and I think it's one of those things when you're like, wait, you can get paid to work on Pinterest. It sounds too good to be true. I get it, right? But like I said, there's a lot more that goes into it, and it does require work and effort. But I had somebody reach out to me on Instagram, and she was like, is this some type of like pyramid scheme? And I'm like, there is nothing pyramid shaped about this. So I want you, though, I want you to put in the chat, does that make sense that you're a service-based business? You're a contractor. Businesses pay you for your services. So you are not asking friends and family to buy from you. You are not pushing anything on anybody. You're not getting other people to start doing what you're doing. You are just starting a service-based business. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense because you need to be feeling right now, yes, this is something that would feel right to me, or no, it doesn't. And that's okay. But for me, this type of business felt right to me. And there were definitely other types of business models or things I'd have to be doing within whatever business model I was looking into that didn't feel good to me and I didn't want to do it. So this is a huge like yes or no right out of the gate. Yes, yes. Okay, beautiful. Carla, yes. Cindy, yes. Janelle, yes, love the sound of this so far. Amazing. Okay, awesome. You guys are rock stars. Okay, so we're going to look at this as a time rise, and I want you to think about close your eyes, write it down, put it in your phone, in the notes, whatever you need to do. I want you to think about where you want to be in 3 years because I want to start future pacing. I want you to think about these four futures. Because what you do today, what you do next week, what you do next month, what you do next year, it matters. And ultimately, over time, the decisions you make, whether you become a Pinterest manager or whether you stay at your current job or you keep your current situation, whatever decisions you make, it impacts your future, right? And so I want you to think about this on a time horizon. And we're going to call these four boxes the four futures. You can see good, okay, poor, and the worst. And I want you to think about the good, not just good, but like this would be amazing. I would be so happy. I want you to think about where do you want to be 3 years from now? That would be amazing. And when you're thinking about that, think about it in terms of income monthly and hours you're working weekly. And then I also want you to contemplate what would be the worst case scenario. I'm going to give myself as an example to help you kind of think this through. And like I said, I want you to write it down. You can put it in the chat. If you're not comfortable putting it in the chat, you can just put done once you have this in your mind. But I do want you to think about the future right now because it's so easy to put things aside and to let fear hold us back, but you're here for a reason. You want a change. You want something to be different in your life. I don't take that lightly that you are giving me an hour of your time tonight. I don't. Like I said, time is our most valuable commodity. So first of all, thank you for being here. But I also, want to acknowledge that you're here for a reason. You want something to change or to be different, right? So when I thought about when I first started my business, what I wanted 3 years, I remember thinking I would be totally content if I could just replace what had been my teaching income. At that point, I had already quit my teaching job when I started my business. I quit my job in 2017 after I had my first daughter. And then in 2018, July is when I started my business. And I remember thinking I would be so excited if I could just make $2,000 a month. And I knew that I was going to be working less because I was at home with my daughter. So, like I said, I've never had like 40 plus hours. So, I'm like, to be making what I was teaching, to be at home and working less, I would be just over the moon. The worst case scenario for me would have been to go back to work after having my daughter. And I loved teaching, but things happen in our lives and it changes the way that we feel about our job and our situation and what we want in the future. And for me, I worked at an amazing school that was actually going to allow me to come back part-time, but I was going to have to be paying for daycare. And once we did the math And I also was going to be losing benefits because I was going to be going from 40 hours to technically 24, which we all know that as a teacher, I was not just working 40 hours, it was more like 50 to 55. And so I knew it wasn't just going to be 24 hours, but I was technically, licensed. That's what it was going to be. So anyways, I was going to be losing benefits. And when we did the math, I was actually going to be paying to work after childcare. And I worked at a charter school, and this is also going back to 2017. But I was recently just sharing that my like schedule based off of the school I was working at was actually even 2 weeks longer than the typical school. So I'm like, there were so many layers of like reasons why I didn't want to go back. And so for me to go back and to actually be paying to work for 3 years and to be losing all of that time with my daughter, I was like, that is bananas. You can't make that make sense. So for me, I kind of felt like my back was against the wall. I'm like, I have to like make a change. And like, failure was not an option for me. That's not to say I didn't fail multiple times on this journey, but I knew I wasn't going to give up. And for me, like giving up and not making this happen, that would have been true failure and having to go back to teaching. And I don't say that to like diss teachers or anything like that, but that's just not what I wanted for myself. So when you're thinking about this, I want you to think about, like I said, what you want income wise on a monthly basis and how many hours you want to be working. I really only had I think I would have like in the beginning I would have said 15 to 20. I think ended up working a little bit over 20, but I also really enjoyed the work. And after being mom for about 8 months, I was like, okay, I'm ready to like put my mind into something else. And I really wanted something that was mine. And I actually, I'm not gonna lie, I missed making money. And so I was really into it. So any chance or pockets of the time, or pockets of the day, I should say, of time I had, I would be like working on my business, like before she woke up in the morning, during nap time, in the evening. So I saw something in the chat. Let's see. Kathy said, good for you. Yeah, so whether you have it written down or not. So what I want you to look at on this time horizon though, and thinking about your future, you can see that these four futures, 6 to 9 months, these lines start to get further and further apart. And whatever decisions you are making are getting you closer or further away from where you want to be in the future. And that amazing future and maybe an okay future, poor in the worst case scenario. And 3 years from now, the differences become so large between where you want to be and maybe where you currently are, it almost becomes insurmountable to the point where, you get in a hole or you get in this routine and you're like, I don't even know how to get out of here. And so that's what I don't want for you. So that's why, I want you, whether it's Pinterest management or if it's something else, to start making moves and make a change now so that in 6 to 9 months, think about how fast a year goes by, that you are getting closer to where you want to be. Gosh, we're already in March. That blows my mind. The first 2 months went by so fast. So, some of my students, like I said, who have taken action, Emily, she's been an absolute rock star. She was actually an Etsy shop owner, but she was seeing that her income from Etsy was kind of ebbing and flowing, and she wanted more consistency, and Pinterest management has given her just that. Whitney, she was a dental hygienist, did not want to go back to work, wanted to be at home with her kids. Whitney has done amazingly well, and she just landed somebody that she said was like, quote, her dream client. She said that she was actually fangirling. So it's really fun to be able to choose who you get to work with. And I'm going to share more about that with you later. But I just want to keep sprinkling these wins throughout because I want you to see and identify like, okay, this could be me. So when you're thinking about that goal, whatever you had in terms of income you're making monthly and hours you're working weekly, let's say it's 10K a month and you're working 15 hours a week or 20 hours a week. How would that feel? I want you to put that in the chat. How would that feel to hit that goal? I'll give you a second here. Leanna, darn good. You're a fast typer, Leanna. Great. Monica, Devon, amazing. Sean Davidson, amazing. Andrea, amazing. I love it, right? It'd be incredible. I remember thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even, I thought like this isn't even possible. And that was just replacing my teaching income. Janelle, that would be the best, so wonderful and freeing, right? I love these responses. So, what is it costing you right now to not start? So, this is all possible for you thanks to freelancing and Pinterest management. So, let's talk about what is the wow result worth to you. So, if you could get to 10K or 15K or even 20K, like numbers that it almost feels silly to say, where you're like, I actually don't think that that's possible. I remember thinking that 5K wasn't possible. I wouldn't even let my mind go there because I'm like, I can't even wrap my mind around like how I would get the clients and like what that would look like. And it did not happen overnight. It took me 2 years where I see my students and it's like taking them 6 months where they are hitting their first 5K month. But it took me 2 years before I hit my first 5K month. But there was a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall. So that's why I do have my academy so that, my students are not throwing spaghetti at the wall. But when you're thinking about what that wow result is worth to you, let's compare what it cost to transition to different careers. So let's say you would went to trade school. It's around $5,000 to $15,000 according to tradeschool.net. And think about if you wanted to change careers and get a new degree. A 4-year college is anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 according to advisors.com. We live in this amazing time. We can change careers and learn new skills. But ultimately, it's about finding something that's aligned for you. And that's this consistent theme. I want you to decide, does this feel right to me? And the thing about this is this isn't gonna, it doesn't cost 30 or $50,000. But you do have to invest your time in there, if you're wanting to learn and get the skills training that does cost, but it's not the same as, trade school or college. And like I said, we just live in this amazing time where it is possible to change careers and it doesn't have to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So some of my Pinterest Manager Academy students land their first client in 3 weeks. Others, it takes a few months, but it doesn't need to take you years to create a sustainable income from this service-based business. This big zero, that is how much experience I had before I started my business. So maybe some of you are like me. Are you like me? Now, I would say that, and through reading through the chat, there was a virtual assistant. There was somebody who I want to say was in some type of like marketing. So I want you to put in the chat, do you have experience? Now, when we're talking about experience, I'm going to expand this, not even to like online business, but let's say you have experience, even if you've used Canva. Canva is something that I use daily as a Pinterest manager. And when I first started my business, I hope this will make you feel better. I didn't even know what Canva was. So if you're on this call and you don't know what Canva is, perfect. I didn't either. You can still be successful. You don't need to know what Canva is. But that's just say, and I was that teacher where like if I was having issues and I was going to use PowerPoint that day and it was acting up for me like during my class, I'm like, all right, kids, just let's just forget it. Let's do something else. Plan B. I'm not a real like tech savvy person, and so I can say if I can learn it, I believe in you. So Lynn says so great, somewhat. Janelle said I have some graphic design experience, but no online business experience. No problem at all. Okay. Let's see, Shauna, a little bit in managing a small business Instagram account. Yeah, that's experience, a small amount of experience just getting started with Canva. Yes, lots of Canva. Amazing, Cindy. Christine, some. Okay, so a little bit about me. Like I shared, I taught for 3.5 years. I taught kindergarten and second grade while I was teaching. This is a picture of me on my first day of school with my first class ever. And I loved teaching. Those sweet little kids had my heart. And it makes me sad to think about because I really do miss it. But what I don't miss is so much of the other stuff that goes along with education and the fact that we are tremendously overworked and underpaid. And honestly, there's a lot of professions that are like that. It's not just teachers. Not to mention that I was talking to somebody about this, and I've had people like I had somebody on YouTube tell me that I was lying about how much I made when I was teaching because I said something about making $1,800 a month. They're like, no way. Teachers make way more than that. And I was like, oh, I still have my pay stubs. I'm happy to pull those out for you. I didn't. I don't argue with people on social media, not my thing. But it was just so like funny. I will say, look, this was in 2017. So think about that. That was a hot minute ago. I quit my job. It'll be 8 years ago this fall. So you have to think about this was also 8 years ago. I taught at a charter school. It was inner city. We got paid less working at a charter school than like the public schools. And so there's other factors, but I kind of shared that it made zero sense for me to go back. So that's why I decided to stay at home with my daughter. But after about 8 months, I had this pull that I wanted to do something. I wanted to support our family. And to be totally honest, I wanted to not give up things that make life enjoyable. I didn't want to give up family vacations. I didn't want to give up going out to dinner. I wanted to be able to feel like I could pay a babysitter if I wanted to have a date night with my husband, things that are expensive about life. And honestly, too, we had just moved and I didn't really should have thought that through. But we had a mortgage and it was higher than our previous mortgage. And so there was a lot of factors where I'm like, okay, I don't want to like be totally stressed. Financial strife, like that is, it's the worst feeling, right? And so that's why I decided to start my business. I didn't want us to feel that way. And I started Ashley as a virtual assistant. And I knew that I didn't want to stay as a virtual assistant because I had also learned that really one way to make more is to become an expert at one thing, which, right, that makes sense. So I pivoted from virtual assisting to social media management. But I was like posting on people's Instagrams, liking comments, responding to direct messages, which felt a lot of like customer service, which not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's about finding what feels good to you and what you enjoy. And with social media management, some of my clients wanted me to be posting in real time, right? They didn't want to use a scheduler or things like that. And then also, too, once you post, if people are commenting, you want to engage because that sends, signals to the algorithm. It's a whole thing. And once I was doing it, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't want to post on Instagram for you at 9 o'clock at night. I don't want to stay on Instagram for another 30 minutes to engage with your audience. And like that was part of it. And I didn't want to do that. And it just kind of like felt like it was sucking the life out of me. And I'm like, I don't want to continue to do this. Like, I want to do this for the next 10 years. So, and I say 10 years, but like indefinitely. And so I knew that Pinterest management was a thing when I was looking into freelance options, and I just didn't know where to go to learn how to do it. And there wasn't all these courses. And I will say, we live in way more noisy online world than when I started, 7 years ago, even. So I didn't know where to go to learn it, but I was working on one of my clients for Instagram. And she was like, you know what? I kind of want you to pivot. Like, let's try Pinterest. Because to be honest, we weren't getting the greatest results on our Instagram. I also didn't like the work. And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know how to do Pinterest. And she was like, I will be willing to pay you, if you want to just play around. So she said she'd pay me $200 a month to play on her Pinterest. And let's just say it was all history from there. And I did ultimately invest in skills training. I took Pinterest courses, memberships. I consumed everything I could to learn how to market on Pinterest. And then I was actually even working on accounts. So that was in May of 2019. By August of 2019, I landed my first client that was at a little bit of a higher price. It was, I think, 350 a month, not 200, but I also had a little bit more experience then. And that's fast forward, that's what I've been doing since 2019. And I still work with clients. Now I do have my academy where I'm training other people to become Pinterest managers. But it's something that, I love so much. And it's just continued to grow and build. And that feeling that I would love it, that instinct, I should have listened to it from the get-go, but I just, like I said, I didn't know where to go to learn this. So that's a little bit about me. This was a picture of me in New York City where I was for Business Mastermind. It's so crazy to think about how much my life has changed in the past 7 years, and all because I just took that first step. And I didn't have everything figured out, but I knew I had to make a change. And sometimes it's not about having everything figured out, it's just about taking that first step. So, what I learned though, was how Pinterest worked for businesses because the marketing side is very different than the user side. So that's one reason alone that a business owner would want to pay you. It's not a super intuitive platform when it comes to marketing. And I don't say that to sound intimidating. Like I said, I truly believe anybody can, learn the skills it takes, but it's not like, oh yeah, as like an Instagram user, I've posted on Instagram. Most people haven't, as a Pinterest user, just gone and created a pin and, you know, done that, right? It's just different. So that's also why business owners want to pay a Pinterest manager because They know that it can ultimately make them money, but they don't really know how to use it for business. Okay. So, what I learned through working with that first client, I learned how it actually works for business. So you do this if you're a Pinterest user and you don't even think about it. You go to the platform and you have a problem, like you need a recipe for tonight, you need a dinner idea. You have a problem and you're looking for a solution. Pinterest provides solutions, ideas, and inspiration. It's a search engine. So it has some aspects that feel social about it, but it's not social media, it's a search engine. So YouTube, Google, Pinterest, all search engines. Think about how powerful Google and YouTube are for business owners. Pinterest is also super powerful for business owners. So people type in the search what they want ideas for. The next piece of the Pinterest puzzle is you see pins come up. You're looking at those pins and you're seeing what is catching your attention and what is going to give you the perfect solution to your problem. This is where the business owner is trying to draw you in. And what they're trying to get you to do is leave Pinterest and go to their website. So the next piece is you can either save that pin, right? You save it to your boards, or if you really want more information, you go to the website. And that is where the magic happens for business owners. Pinterest has trained people to go to Pinterest and then leave to get what they want, whether that be a necklace, a piece of furniture, a blog post, a resource. Pinterest has trained us to go to the platform and ultimately leave. That is very different than social media. Instagram wants you to get stuck in the doom scrolling. TikTok wants you to get stuck in the doom scrolling where you stay on the platform. Pinterest has taught people to leave the platform. And that is so powerful for business owners because when people leave Pinterest and the business owner gets you to their website, they're they can make money a lot of different ways, whether they are showing you a product, showing you a blog post, showing you an offer where they're asking you to sign up for their email list. When people get you to their website, they're ultimately monetizing that in some way, shape, or form. And that the way that they make money from that, people going to their website, it depends on their unique business. Okay. So, for example, food bloggers, they make money from people literally going to their blog a lot of times because, all those pesky ads and things that pop up, they are getting paid for those ads. So literally just getting people to their blog posts can make them money. So, like I said, there's a lot of different ways that business owners can monetize getting people to their website, but that's how Pinterest works. And so, these are some of the results I've gotten from my clients. You can see, a lot of revenue, a lot of impressions. Oops, I think somebody is off of mute. Oh, I think they went back on mute. Thank you. Okay, so there are businesses like Target, Lush, Peloton, course creators, bloggers, lots of different types of businesses can benefit from Pinterest. Huge businesses, big name brands, but lots of small businesses. And I will say, I think that the gold is kind of with the small businesses because 97% of searches on Pinterest are unbranded. That means when people go to Pinterest, they're not searching for Target or Nordstrom. They're typing in what they want, ideas, or, like I said, they have a problem and they're looking for a solution. So it's a powerhouse for small business owners. So I've grown my clients' traffic 50% year over year. I've helped my clients receive a monthly revenue of $5,000 to $10,000 strictly from Pinterest. I don't say this to sound all braggy. I say it because I want you to understand why somebody would pay you for these services. So it's a no-brainer for almost any type of business, which means there's endless opportunities for you. Now, I do want to give a little example here. When you're thinking about like, okay, Emily, who couldn't benefit from Pinterest then? Well, pretty much any online business can benefit from Pinterest. There are some brick and mortars where it might not make as much sense. So, for example, my daughters, I took them to the dentist on Monday. Love our dentist. They have a website. They don't have products or a blog or anything that they need their patients in person. So for this little local dentist office, does it make sense for them to use Pinterest when they're not, selling or trying to get people, they need local people. They need local patients. So word of mouth, maybe even very targeted paid advertising. But do they need a Pinterest manager? Is that the best use of their marketing budget? Probably not. So that's one example. However, when you're thinking of brick and mortars, there is a local boutique and they actually expanded to three different locations in like the greater Indianapolis area. I'm in Indiana. And they sell in person, obviously it's a brick and mortar, but they also have an online presence and they ship all over the place. So I have a friend in Illinois that buys from them. I have a friend in California that buys from this boutique. So would it make sense for them to use Pinterest? Absolutely. So I want to give you a couple of examples there. And the reason why I'm going through all of this is because I want you to understand the need for it, why people would pay you. Like these are some of the questions that you need answered to know, like, yes, this would be a good idea and this would work. So going back to these zeros, this is literally how much business experience, how much sales experience, how much marketing experience. As you can see, I had no experience. So let's talk about whether you resonate with the lack of experience or maybe you have some. Why you and why Pinterest? Because let's be honest, there's a lot of options right now, and it can be really overwhelming trying to filter and sift through what's going to work for you, what feels right to you, what would you like doing. And so, some of the reasons, and I'm going to give you these, but I want you to identify too with these amazing, inspiring stories. So, Courtney, who was a preschool teacher, just 4 months in to the academy was making $2,200 a month, just 4 months in. Jen got her first client, who's a big blogger. Ashley was a stay-at-home mom. And, it just showed her like, wow, I can do this. I can start my own business. So here's what gives Pinterest the edge when you're looking at different work from home options. Pinterest is a platform that is actually underrated. And this means that many businesses need to get on board. So I want you to think about, ooh, there is actually a lot of opportunity in this. Because I think that some people are like, ooh, this is really niche. I don't think there's opportunity. I want you, and I have an abundance mindset. You need to adopt an abundance mindset. There are millions upon millions upon millions of business owners. There are way more online businesses than there are Pinterest managers. Do you know 100 Pinterest managers? Do you know 10 Pinterest managers? Think about it. It's very niche, but at the same time, there is a very real need for this. And there's a lot of business owners that are not on Pinterest yet. And what that means is there's this opportunity. There's this business that I learned about from a podcast where they sell all these clean and like healthy products. She has a blog. She has all these, like I said, products. She sells like, I don't know, she sells like protein powders, collagen, all these things. And I went to her website and I was looking at it. And, out of curiosity, like it's now just like my go-to. I want to see if like businesses are on Pinterest, even though I'm not taking new clients. And I went and I'm like, oh my gosh, she has a Pinterest account, but she's not using it. And I'm like, what is she doing? She is absolutely perfect for Pinterest. So it's crazy how I'm not even looking for clients, but when I find somebody I like love their business and I'll look and they're not on it, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, well, you're missing out on this huge opportunity. So, I see so much opportunity. Another thing about Pinterest is, it's fun. You get to be creative. You have the ability to batch. This was huge because, like I said, with the social media management, I found I still had like time constraints and things that I had to do at certain times of the day. Pinterest, I could truly batch. So, for example, when I had three clients, I would work on Amanda's on a Monday, Ashley's on a Tuesday, and Jamie on a Wednesday. And I could, I knew that it was going to take me a couple of hours to work on each account a day. And so I'd spend like 2 to 3 hours on Amanda on Monday, and I would get her done until the next Monday or even like 10 days out. And in between there, I wasn't getting on, logging onto her Pinterest, having to do all this. So there was this ability to batch the work. It's inspiring. You're investing your time on a platform that's positive and feels good. Social media was like sucked the life out of me a little bit. There's a lot of positive things and there's a lot of good aspects about social media, but there's also a lot of negativity too. Um, on Pinterest, there's unlimited potential. And of course, one thing about this type of service was it felt really good to help other business owners. And it felt like this ecosystem where I was helping them grow and make more money on Pinterest. And then they were funding my business by paying me for my services. So kind of helped that, ecosystem of small business owners. So the reality when I started was I had no business experience, nor did I understand how or why a business owner would use Pinterest to make money. I just loved Pinterest. And since then, I've created a repeatable system for using Pinterest to drive traffic for my clients and actually convert their traffic into loyal customers for their business. AKA, I became a Pinterest expert. And so these next few testimonials, I'm not going to read these, but these were people whose accounts I actually managed. And I want to share that about me developing this expertise because want you to be careful, whether it's me or somebody else. I want you to be careful about who you're learning from. Whether, like I said, you want to become a Pinterest manager or not, you need to learn from somebody who has already done what you want to do. I'm not just like, hey, I think Pinterest is a thing. Like, let me teach you it. Like, I've done this for years and I have proven results from my clients and now my students who I'm teaching these systems to. So I just want to say that because I've had some things come up lately where I'm like, I know you don't have experience and you're trying to teach people how to do this. And it didn't sit well for me because I don't want people that are amazing like you to be taken advantage of. And so, like I said, it's important that you're learning from somebody who has already done what you want to do so that they can be the guide that you need. So, like I said, these are some of the clients I've worked with. I'm not going to read all of these right now. So, going back to this, these are some of the ways that Pinterest has changed my life. I'm not going to go through and read all these right now because I want to keep going and I want to give you my framework that I'm teaching my students because, I've shared these results and how they've made this and how they've made that, but I want to get to my framework and what I'm teaching them so that they can get those results and so that you can too. So if you can't tell, I've become obsessed with Pinterest and you might be thinking, here's where the roadblocks come. Yeah, but I don't think I'll ever be able to develop the skills I need to be successful. So, like I said at the beginning, this is the mindset part that we have to overcome. I want you to think about this as laying bricks. You are not going to have the whole house built. You have to start with laying one brick at a time and building that foundation. And it might be the scariest thing that you don't know where you'll be in 5 years, but it also can be the best thing because it continues to grow and evolve and develop, and it could become something so much better than you even think. And that's really what it has been for me. So, roadblock number two, I know this works for other people, but how do I know it'll work for me? So, of course, I have dozens upon dozens of students that it's literally working for in 2025. But this is what, like I said, I could keep sharing these wins. You can even look at my Instagram. I have one of my highlights as student wins, and I can't even add anymore. I'm to the point where like Instagram has like cut me off. But like I said, I could keep sharing. I've got a lot of wins. I want you to think about this in terms of will this work for me? Because I know that that's like one of the number one questions. And to put it simply, it works if you work it. You have to decide you are going to give it 100% and you are not going to quit. You have to let go of these preconceived notions about the timeline. And I think that's one of the most challenging parts is we think like this should happen in 3 weeks for me, or this should happen in 4 or 6 weeks for me. And the thing is we have to let go of some of those timelines because the truth of the matter is, I have some students who are working on their business an hour a day, and I have some who are working 4 hours a day. And of course, their timelines are going to be different. But one overall resounding theme is whether you go fast or slow, you will be successful if you don't give up. My student Joan, she was like, I'm going to be the tortoise, Emily. I'm still working. I'm almost to retirement. I'm going to be slow. She has been successful, but she was much slower. Instead of it taking 4 to 6 weeks, it took her 3 to 4 months before she got her first client. But now she has multiple clients and she's very happy with her success. And that is the thing. When we're defining success, everybody's definition of success is different. So, that's one thing to keep in mind as well. So I do have some things I've noticed about my students that I would consider the most successful, the ones who have multiple clients and, are hitting those goals that they've set. They take action. They ask questions and take advantage of the coaching that's in my academy. They show up to coaching calls. They reach out to business owners via my hire form. Yes, I have a page on my website that is like, hey, do you need a Pinterest manager? Here are my amazing Pinterest manager students. I just gave my students a lead today. that is filled out consistently, which also tells me about the need for this in the market that my hire form is filled out consistently. And there are business owners regularly coming to me and they might be looking at my services. And then when they realize I'm not taking new clients, they go to my hire form. And so taking advantage of my hire form, following the roadmap. Everything I teach is step by step, and they don't make excuses. Yes, life happens and things get in the way. Believe me, I had a baby in October. I have 4 kids. I started with 1 kid. We've moved. There's been illness. I had Lyme disease. So many things that we could make excuses for, but life happens to everybody, and you have to keep showing up and keep your eye on the prize, not to sound cheesy. So, this is something I wish I could remember where I read this or who said it, but this is not my quote. I will say that. But I read it and I'm like, oh, that's so good. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And like I said, this is tough love. I want you to be successful, but we can't fight for our limitations. So, roadblock number 3, isn't it just easier if I stick with my current career? I think this sounds too uncomfortable. I get it. But do you want another year of almost? You signed up and you're here tonight and you are taking time out of your life because you want more. If you're not happy with your current situation, where are you going to be 5 years from now if you don't make a change? And believe me, I get that you might love your career. I loved my job too. But major life events like me having my daughter, it can change how you feel. And you have to decide what's more painful, starting something new or staying where you are. It was way more painful for me to stay at my job. And actually, one of my students, Gwendolyn, she started, and while we're talking about excuses, Gwendolyn started when she was working full time. She has 3 kids. She was she was finishing up 2 online courses and she started the academy. And the breaking point at her job was that they essentially were like giving her a pay cut. And she already felt like she was somewhat overworked and maybe not as appreciated as she would have liked to been. But then they told her they were like doing pay cuts. And it was just like her breaking point. And, it was, I think probably kind of felt like a slap in the face too. And so that's when she decided, I'm going to do the academy. And when I get to 5 clients, I'm going to quit my job. So when I did the success story with her, she was actually at 3 clients, but she was so positive and she's like, I know that the other 2 are right around the corner and I cannot wait to quit my job. So, I just wanted to share that because I get it. I get it. It's hard to make that decision. But like I said, you have to decide what's more painful, staying where you are or starting something new. So the thing is you need a process. You don't need a pipe dream. So the Pinterest management game is way easier than you think, and I want to give you exactly what you need. So hang with me for like 10 more minutes. I said it probably lasts a little bit over an hour. So we're going to go just a couple more minutes here. But I want to teach you this is everything has been important because like I said, each, thing that I've shared, I want you to be feeling like, yes, this is a good fit for me. Or clarity if it's not a good fit. But I want to give you this framework now that I'm teaching inside my academy because this is what I'm teaching my students that's helping them get to those results. And like I said, I wish I could give you literally everything you need in 1 hour because that would just be amazing to be able to take in that much information so quickly. But there's just not enough time. So I'm going to give you this framework over the next few minutes and then tell you the next steps. So hang with me because I'm going to give you the next steps after this too. So this framework I'm teaching my students here in the middle of this triangle, we want you to be working part-time hours and to be making 10K a month, if not more. Now, some of my students are like, I just want 3 to 4K or 5K I'd be happy with. Everybody's goals kind of vary, but so I have this, and maybe yours are more or less depending on what you want. So the first piece of this is freedom and money. So flexibility with your time, but you also got to make money, right? So how do we get to the freedom and money piece? So the first thing you need to do, you have to have skills training. I cannot teach you everything you need to market on Pinterest in a 1 hour training. It's just not possible. So what you're going to do though is you need to go from a Pinterest user to a Pinterest guru. And like I said, that does require skills training. And so we all start somewhere. And one thing that you're going to do as a Pinterest manager that's really fun is, for example, this is one piece of the puzzle, but I just want you to start visualizing what that user to guru looks like. So as a user, you have fun looking at pins. As the guru, you are going to be designing those pins. So one thing I want to tell you about the work that, and this is really important to know, is that you are not a photographer, you are not a video creator. Your clients give you those assets. So one of my first clients, the one I told you that paid me $200 a month, she was local, she's in Indiana. And so she makes handmade hair bows for little girls. It was kind of perfect because I also have little girls. And she sent me these pictures, and then I created the pins for her. And those pins would link back to her products. So, when you click on a pin and you want more information, that is the link. So I created this pin and it linked back to these 4th of July hair bows. So she gave me these images. I did not take these images of her bows. And so the thing that's also makes the work a little bit easier, especially if you're intimidated by the design part, your clients will already have a brand. That means they'll have colors, they'll have logos, they'll have fonts. And in the academy, you'll learn that you do want to incorporate their branding into the pins. And so it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. They have their brand already, and you want to really accentuate that through the pins. Now, there's other things to keep in mind. Like when I worked with primary teachers, I worked with a lot of teachers pay teacher sellers. A lot of their branding was very colorful. So I would like pull in colors from whatever image to, add to the font and stuff. So, and of course, all of these things are taught in the academy, but I just wanted to show you like we all have to start somewhere and give you a little bit more idea of what one piece of that looks like in terms of going from Pinterest user to guru. So the next piece, because we want freedom and money. So before you can start offering this service, before you can get to that money, you have to go from user to guru. But the next piece, when you're thinking about the freedom in, and also thinking, is Pinterest a good fit? This no hustle automation. So right over here, this is a scheduler. I teach my students in the academy how to use Tailwind. And one thing to know when you're thinking about programs and systems, Tailwind is something that your clients will pay for. That is not a cost incurred by like your business. So something that people ask me about a lot is like, what's the overhead? And the beauty of being a service-based business is yes, for example, like if you invested in my academy, that would be it's a tax write-off, first of all. So you could write off the academy as a cost of your business. But with like Tailwind, that's not something that you have to pay for. Your clients pay for that. So one thing I loved when I just had my services was that my business expenses were like less than $50 a month. Now, I practice what I preach, and I invested in skills training. I've invested in business coaching. I've invested in a lot of things. And it's also what I attribute to getting where I am today. But, I just wanted to kind of share with you that automation piece because that's a huge piece of the freedom. And when you're thinking about being able to work truly when it's convenient for you and also being able to batch your work. The next piece is the beginner to expert pricing system. So in my academy, I teach my students how to price their services, what types of packages to offer, and how to scale them over time so that you can get to that income. Because like I said, you're not going to hit 10K a month overnight. And so it took me, let's see, I hit 10K in 2021 and I started in 2018. Now, the pacing for my students is not that long because, like I said, some of them are hitting 5K in 6 months. But it's important to have a plan and to feel good about your pricing and know that there's transparency and, okay, this is a very fair beginner price. So then if somebody pushed back against your prices, you know that they're just not a good client for you because you know in your heart that what you're charging is very fair for a beginner. And like I said too, I coach my students too with like when to increase their prices, how to go about that, because it's important too that as you get more experience, you do continue to increase, your packages. So the next piece, I love this part, getting the right client load and what does this look like? So you do not have to have a website to start working with clients. And for me, that was like, whew, when I first started my business, because that felt like really overwhelming. I'm like, do I make it myself? I don't have thousands to pay somebody to make a website. You just need a portfolio. Now, of course, in my academy, I have training and information about when you're ready for a website because that's a good business foundation. But in the beginning, you can be totally booked out with just a portfolio. And guess what? I have students get their portfolio done over the weekend. So you're given templates, resources, exactly what you need to put together that portfolio. And then in my coaching channel, you're getting personalized feedback from not just me, but another coach I have who is fantastic with design, branding, and giving you feedback on that portfolio as well. So in terms of getting clients, you can get them pretty quickly because you can get booked out, like I said, with just the portfolio. Um, Now, when you're thinking about getting the right client load, I know that this is a big question mark for people like, where do these people come from that need Pinterest services? So you can find clients in Facebook groups. And in my academy, I literally give you the list of Facebook groups I've used. I give you tips for how to use the Facebook groups. There is a LinkedIn guest expert training. I am not a LinkedIn expert. There are things that are out of my wheelhouse, and LinkedIn is one of them. So I did have a guest expert come in and do a training for my students on using LinkedIn to find clients, and I do have students who use it. Um, a newer one. My student Emily, I had talked to her about doing a training on Threads. She had, which for some of you, if you're not familiar with Threads, it's like the Twitter or X for Instagram. And so she got a client from Threads, which is crazy. You can use platforms like Indeed, Upwork. Indeed, Upwork, Fiverr, those platforms are essentially, they were created to connect business owners to freelancers or contractors. But the only problem with some of those is that you have to do a little bit of like sifting and you have to apply to some of those. And, sometimes in terms of like what people are looking for, they're looking for a lot of work for little pay. And, I am all about my students charging their worth and, not burning themselves out and doing things for, next to no money. So, now here is my favorite personally, pitching, because I have students like Whitney who are raving. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this is my dream client." Like I'm kind of freaking out. And it's so funny because that person, she's a food blogger that Whitney's working with. And I was at dinner out last Friday with my family, and they're like, "Do you know of so and so? I am obsessed. I made pork chops. I made this from this food blogger." And I was like, "Actually, I've never tried her recipes, but one of my students is her Pinterest manager." And for me, I was like, it was this full circle. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. And they're like, what? One of your students is her Pinterest manager? Like, I'm the biggest fan of her. So she got that client from pitching. I teach my students, there's an entire module about how to pitch. And you're reaching out through email. So it's not cold calling, but you are emailing. And when it is done well, it comes across not icky, not salesy. It's authentic and it works. Hence, Whitney getting this like fangirl client, and it's working for a lot of other students. I shared this on my Instagram stories yesterday. My student Emily shared with me she got her first client from pitching, and from that first client, it translated into 5 referrals. Emily is a mom of 3. She's still teaching full time. She's getting her master's and she has 6 Pinterest clients. And it all stemmed from getting that first client through pitching. So if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about pitching and it works and you will get clients. So just take that out of your head. If you're worried about not ever finding the client, you will. But remember, you have to let go of some of those timelines and saying, like, I have to do it in this amount of time. You have to be patient and it works. And sometimes it works for people quickly, like Diana. She sent 9 emails and got her first client from one of those emails. So then other people, it takes more work. So it just depends. There's a little bit of luck involved too, in terms of like what's going on with that business. And if you just caught them like, oh, I actually was just looking for a Pinterest manager, that happens sometimes. So the other thing I wanted to mention about client acquisition is I shared this before, but I have a hire form on my website. I am giving you those business owners. I just shared one of my coaching channels today, like, hey, this person's looking for a Pinterest manager. It emails me when my hire form is filled out, and I immediately give that and notify my coaching students. So I'm also giving you business owners as well. Now, the next piece about getting the right client load, keeping in mind like how many hours you want to work, but also hitting your income goals, is having systems in place. And let's say that you never want more than 5 clients, but you still want to make more money. Then you could still continue to take on clients, but you'll need to subcontract. There's academy information on how to hire. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I have thought of these things and I've lived these things and I've done a lot through trial and error. And you don't have to do it by error. You can learn from my mistakes. So, the next piece that truly is what makes all the difference in the world with the Academy. And for some of you, I know you're like, oh, you're going a little long here. I'm almost done. And I'm going to share the next steps with you. No one's left behind. The personalized coaching is what makes all the difference. So, when one of my students puts in, like Erin put in her portfolio, like, hey, Emily, can I get feedback on this? I am looking at her portfolio and I'm not giving her surface level or fluff feedback. I'm giving her detailed feedback about her portfolio. I'm encouraging. I, you know, have accountability check-ins. That's the thing. It's like you don't have to do this alone. And there are a lot of people that you can learn from online, and there's a lot of courses, but mine is anything but a course. It's a coaching program, and that's what makes it different. Okay. And so, the thing is with like all the online courses, it's really easy to start something and feel like I'm stuck or I need help or like I need some place to ask questions. And my coaching channel is different because you do have the community where you're in there with the other students, but the thing is it's not pure coaching. You're not relying on each other. You're going through this together, yes, but like I said, you're learning from somebody who's already done what you want to do. And I answer every single question that comes through my coaching channel. So that personalized piece is truly what my students share makes all the difference in the world. Like Annie, she was like, I owe this all to you. And I'm like, well, I gave you the tools and you used them. I don't know that was just all me. I'm like, you had to do the work. But having that coaching really does make a huge difference. So okay, let's talk really quickly. Thinking about numbers, what this could look like. A very typical introductory package for a Pinterest manager ranges from $450 to $700. That's what I'm typically seeing my students charging based off of how I'm teaching them to price their services in the academy. 5 clients at $450 would be about $2,250 a month. If you landed 5 clients at $600, that's $3,000 a month. If you landed 5 clients at $1,000, you'd be making $5,000 a month. And this is more along the lines of like what Adriana, what Annie, also what Bree will be doing. So Bree was a podcast manager, and now she's doing Pinterest management for some of her podcast clients because she's realizing that Pinterest can help grow their podcast, which is really cool. So I have some really unique offerings that my students are like putting together, and I'm helping them with that. Where like Annie's offering blog management with Pinterest. And I just want to say, you do not have to pair anything. You can make $5,000 a month just from Pinterest. But I want to say for some people that do have other skills, you can also, you can pair those services together. However, I also have students, Adriana just wanted to do Pinterest, making $5,000 a month just from Pinterest. And like I said, you don't stop at 5,000. I'm just trying to help you visualize and think about what this could look like. So tell me, what is going to make this quick and easy for you? There are 2 things that are not necessary to win the Pinterest game. You don't need a formal degree in marketing or business, and you don't have to have these prerequisite skills that make you uniquely qualified. So I want you to think about, how passionate are you about changing your current reality? You're here because you're ready for more. You want results, and probably quickly. And deep down, you know it's time for a change and a transformation in your life. So it's your time. I have an important question for you, and I'm going to give you the next steps in just a second. But I want you to share. Do you feel hopeful? Let me know in the chat. Do you feel hopeful? Cindy, yes, very. Carla said, thank you for giving examples and explaining this. You're so welcome. Yes, yes, love it. I've used Canva. Let's see, I do. Yes, yes. Perfect. Okay. So remember, nothing I've shared today is theory. It's what I've done to literally change my life, and it's positively impacting other women and moms as well. So the Academy has proven results in students who are experiencing success. So you've got 2 options. You can continue down the same path that you're on currently, or I do have my Academy that I've been obviously talking about throughout the entire time. It's education/skills training, coaching, mentoring, and of course, everything you need that I've boiled down and learned myself into one incredible academy. So what makes this unique? Like I shared, it's anything but a course. I do not call it a course. I refuse to. because it's education and coaching. The coaching is truly what makes it so different. And I will say, this was back in 2020, actually, 2020. I hired my first coach and I just pivoted to Pinterest and I had one client at about $400 a month and I invested in business coaching. And this was in 2020. This was like 5 years ago. It was $1,000 a month. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm only making 400. I was kind of like, you know, feeling a little bit anxious to put it nicely. But I believed in myself and I trusted the person. And I will say, I went from $400 a month to $5,000 a month. And so you have to think about that. Yes, sometimes it can be scary, but when you know and you have that like confidence and peace and that gut instinct about something, I encourage you to listen to that. Either way, whether it's telling you no, this isn't for you, or yes, and I want to learn from Emily. So, I listen to that and it can be scary, but just know that, the coaching piece is truly what makes it so different. So, some fast facts. You don't have to wait a specific amount of time before you work with your first client. It's really having certain pieces in place, like you need to have a portfolio in your packages and things like that. And I do teach my students to get some testimonial work under their belt. So you want to have a couple of those things done, but you can really get that done pretty quickly. You could get that done in a few weeks. I have students get on discovery calls and land clients within 4 weeks. And some it takes 2 to 3 months. It truly depends on how much time you're devoting. Most of my students report spending 1 to 3 hours a day working on their new Pinterest management business. So people are not spending like 8 hours a day. No, most of my students are either stay-at-home moms and very busy with kids. They're working a full or a part-time job. So nobody has like 8 hours to be spending on this. The Academy has proven results. However, it's completely you get out of it what you put into it. I go back to it works if you work it. You can't just rely. Yes, there's dozens upon dozens upon dozens of proven results, but if you enroll and you don't do anything, it doesn't matter what everybody else did. So, that's what I know that that can be like sound harsh, but I just want to be straight. So, going back, lots and lots of more testimonials. I'm not going to read all of these. Let's get to it. Let's talk about the next step. There's so many testimonials. Sorry. Okay, so you already know there's a hire form. I know that's a big, hairy, scary with the clients. I wanted to share that one more time. This is what the page looks like on my website too. If you're ready to hire somebody for your team, hire a dedicated Pinterest manager to grow your business. And that's what that page looks like on my website. And I direct pins to it. I tell people on social media, I share it with my email list. I'm always like, hire my managers, hire my managers. And people will come back to me and be like, oh my gosh, so and so is amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so the Academy is a one-stop shop for creating a successful Pinterest management business. Month to month, because it is a coaching program, I can only support so many students at once. So for March, I'm only taking 5 new students, and it is through application. I want to chat with you and I want to explain more. I want to answer any questions you might have. I want to make sure that you are a good fit. I don't think everybody, this is the best fit. And so I am not about just having people enroll. I want to make sure that this is a good fit for you and it's a good fit for me. So I will say there are different investment options. I'm like way over time here. My daughter just got home from dance. I want to say goodnight to her. So I am happy to chat through that with you on the call. Just know that obviously there's a substantial investment because this is business coaching. This isn't just, your average run-of-the-mill course where it's like, here it is. Good luck. Take it, run with it like you were getting my ongoing support. And sometimes I spend hours a day supporting my coaching students and answering their questions. Like I said, it's very important to me to give them a high level of support. I also do a weekly coaching call, and that's through Zoom. And depending on how many questions there were, like I did the call, they're usually an hour, but like the other day it was an hour and 20 minutes. Not required, but it is a great way to, get your questions answered. So there's a lot that's included in the academy. So the investment, there is payment options like payment plans. There's a pay in full option, but there's also payment plans. So depending on the payment plan option, that ranges from $333 a month to as much as $497. So just to give you an idea. So Like I said, my first business coach was $1,000 a month, not $1,000 a month, but it is an investment. And I know that investing in anything, it can kind of give you like butterflies in your stomach, but at the same time, you know, I have students who are, making back the full investment times two in a month from client work. So, it's something that makes itself back. It's not about just replacing the investment. It's about this is a new career that you're going to be doing for years and years, right? So, just keep that in mind. So I'm looking for students that are willing to commit. You need to have time that you're going to spend on this. So commit 1 to 2 hours a day and take consistent action. So much action that it makes it unreasonable to think that you won't be successful. So if you want to apply, I would love to chat. I'm going to put this link to apply. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to put this in the chat really fast. Let me grab this for you. And I want to preface this too and say one thing I ask is if you book a call, you are taking that time from somebody else. So if you book an application call, um, meeting group chat. Okay. If you book an application call, I just ask that you respect my time, respect other people's time that if you're taking that time, you're potentially taking a slot that somebody else could take, that you show up for the call, you are, ready to chat with me. And it's just a conversation and helping you get clarity. So, and I love talking to people. I love to connect with people. And I am not about trying to convince or persuade anybody to do anything. It's about, is this going to be a good fit for you? Because I only want to help you if you feel like it's something that you want to do. And I know that, if you want to do this, you will be successful, but you just have to be committed to it. So, let's see. Is the portfolio you're talking about separate from the IG account? Yes, yes, yes. I teach people how to create their portfolio on Canva, and you can download it as like a PDF. Sometimes, potential clients will be like, "Can I see your portfolio?" And so you could just attach that multiple page PDF, send that over to them. They can look at your packages, your prices, other things that go into that portfolio. Let's see here. Cindy, oh, okay, I got it. Thank you. You are so welcome. I'll put that link in there one more time. So you can use that link, grab a time to chat with me. I do want to mention if you are looking at the calendar and you want to book a call and you don't see a time that works for you, um, just know that you can email me and we can find another time if it doesn't work for you, if you don't see a time on my calendar. So I want to be flexible, and the times are kind of strange because I don't just say that I work from home with kids, like that is my reality. So the times to book a call with me are also weird. So let me know if there's not a time that works for you, and I will, change my schedule so I can make it work. I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to mention. Um, let's see. Trying to scan things. Oh, I know. Sean, I see you here tonight. I wanted to mention, Sean, I know we had chatted. I'm going to send you an email. Still, we had already chatted. Um, okay. All right. I'm going to hop off here so I can say goodnight to my daughter really fast. I am happy to send out this replay. I'll put that link one more time in the chat if you want to book a call and potentially take one of those 5 spots for March. And I just want to thank you so much for coming and being here tonight and giving me time out of your night. Like I said, I do not take that lightly. Thank you so much. Hopefully talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Oh, you're welcome, Andrea. So glad you enjoyed it. Thanks, Carly. Thanks, Sean. Bye, everybody.